Today is February 13, 2023, the day before Valentine's Day. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I talked about what happened at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington when a bunch of high school kids from South Carolina got the boot because they had the audacity to be wearing pro-life hats after they had attended the March for Life. They just wanted to go to a museum and enjoy seeing the airplanes and all the other things in the museum. It's a great museum. But I saw in the news today, there was another incident. And I don't know why it took this long for this news to come out in pro-life news circles. But anyway, I'm going to talk about it today. The day of the March for Life, 3 separate groups, not large groups, but 3 separate groups were visiting the National Archives. And all 3 groups, pro-life groups, were told that they had to cover up their pro-life messages, whether it's a shirt or a sweatshirt or a button or a hat, anything that had a pro-life message. They had to cover it up or they had to leave. And apparently the people from these 3 groups were escorted out of the building. Now, the National Archives is the museum in Washington, D.C. that houses the original Declaration of Independence and the original Constitution of the United States. So I find it quite ironic that in the very building where the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are housed under glass, the same building, the employees had the audacity and the irreverence to kick people out of the building because they had a message on their clothes that somehow these employees objected to. So let me just read the First Amendment to our Constitution. Most of us could probably almost recite most of it by heart, but I'm going to do it here. Congress, First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So let's just kind of break this down quickly. Makes no law respecting an establishment of religion. A lot of American colonies had state churches that were subsidized by taxation. If you were in Massachusetts, the Congregational Church was the state church. If you were in Virginia, it was the Anglican Church. And your tax dollars paid the salaries of ministers in these various denominations. Well, that was outlawed. You could not have a state church. Okay. Prohibiting the free exercise of religion. There were problems in colonial America when, if you were a Baptist in Massachusetts, you were going to be whipped and you were going to be banished because the Baptist church was basically an outlaw church in the congregational-led Massachusetts Bay Colony, Boston primarily. And you had, in Maryland, the Catholic Church was predominant there. But in some of these colonies, if you were a minority faith, you did not have a lot of freedom of worship. Well, the First Amendment guarantees that no matter what faith you are, whether you are Jewish or Muslim or Buddhist or Catholic or Protestant or any other religious group. You have the right to worship your God in freedom. You have the right to have freedom of worship. Okay. Abridging the freedom of speech. And here's where the National Archives and the Air and Space Museum are at fault, because they denied these students the right of free speech. And free speech doesn't necessarily have to be verbal. It can be a message on a shirt. A person could have a I love Hillary Clinton shirt, or I love Barack Obama, or Make America Great Again. You could have a Black Lives Matter hat. You can have any type of messaging. I suppose there are some limits, where you're advocating, revolution, or shouting fire in a crowded theater. There are some limits to free speech, but in general, most of the time, speech that advocates a contrary or a protest position cannot be abridged or denied. You have the right to criticize the government. You have the right to criticize other groups or other people or other positions. And the First Amendment gives you that right. And these students were just wearing pro-life hats, pro-life shirts, pro-life buttons. And it's funny because the National Archives referred to this as protest speech. Well, if I am advocating for the life of the unborn, if I am advocating and supporting life, I don't think that is a protest message. To me, the protest message is the other side. You are an unborn baby or an unborn fetus, and you have no right to live. You have the right, the mother has the right to deny you life. That, to me, that's a protest. Protesting the life of the baby. So, I think a life-affirming t-shirt or sweatshirt or a bumper sticker on a car or a person's hat, those are life-affirming. Those are positive. Those are not protest messages. Well, just like with the Air and Space Museum, Jay Sekulows group is going to file a lawsuit against these museums, now the National Archives, violating these students' right of free speech. It's the right of free speech. This is not a hard topic to understand. It's kind of basic to American civics. It's not complicated. You have a right for free speech. And that's all I really have to say about this. I'm going to let you go, and I'll see you next time.